This week, we're going deep to find a variety of species all around the state. The depths may vary, but get ready to see some queen snapper, yellow-eye, tilefish, snowies, warsaw, and much more.
That's right. Depending on your fishing destination, we'll have you on some structure, maybe some muddy bottom. So get ready because we're going deep dropping on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts
now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We're excited to be back with you anglers, talking about deep dropping where many of your favorite prized species reside. But before we get started, Rick, you were in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region scalloping this past weekend, so tell us about all the fun you had.
You know what, Brie, you're so right. We did miss you while we were there, but you know what? We had a giant group. We rented 19 rooms at the plantation at Crystal River. We had both family, we had friends, as well as some of our
look at that.
People that work with us. We took our team. We had several different boats. Everybody had a boat that we'd go in. We rented some guides from Ozella Key Marina, and we had the babies introducing them to it. My sister-in-law, Ruth,
cool.
It was her first time scalloping. And as always, Colin Bukowski, our manager of all of our brands, is full of big bags there.
He's good at doing that with his bucket hat and all.
Yeah, man.
Looking pretty cool. Well, I'm glad you had fun.
It was awesome.
Well, I think everyone had a blast, and I can't wait to join next year. But you know what? Maybe even our CCA workbench guru, Dave Farrell, will join us next year. What do you say, Dave?
Yes, I might do that. I might do
You
that.
might?
I like to go over there and get in the water. I like to see Rick swimming around. That's what I like to do.
Oh, it's
We got
fun.
Russell Kleppinger here today. He's going to tell us all about Deep Dropping 101.
Ooh, that's
From
something.
from the little tiny stuff to even up to the big stuff.
That's nice.
That's something we all want to know about. But first up, we're exploring the depths of the Yanmar ASV Keys region with Captain Sarah Stanzik, who's giving us plenty of species options. Get us started, Sarah.
Hey everyone, I can give you some Deep Drop 101. This is a type of fishing I actually do a lot of. I'm pretty familiar with it. As a lot of you know, my last name is Stanzik, so a lot of my family members go sword fishing and deep dropping, and that's kind of what we're known for. So that being said, one of the cool things about the Keys is that we have several different target fish for deep dropping available, from like queen snapper, tilefish, and grouper species to that ultimate deep drop prize, which would be a swordfish if you ask me. Deep drop realm is kind of like 400 to 1,000 feet deep, but sword fishing, we're between 1,800 and 2,000 feet deep sometime for them, so it can be deeper. We like, the Hooker Electric Pen 50 is a nice setup, or the Pen Fathom 40 high-speed reel is another really nice option because you don't have to turn the handle so many times. So that high-speed reel is nice. You can use a chicken rig setup with multiple hooks. You can put frozen squid or cut bait like barracuda chunks, and a 5-pound average weight for those electric reels, or a 1 to 2 pound weight for hand cranking is what we would use. Here's a photo of, you could call this a deep drop slam, I think. Has a little bit of everything: yellow edge grouper, tilefish, and queen snapper.
Nice.
Yeah.
And if you look closely in that picture, you might recognize one person in there. That is Ronnie Dunn from Brooks and Dunn, country singer.
Oh,
I
cool.
noticed that, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't
That's
say.
him.
All
That
right.
was Ronnie Dunn. Good time.
Tell us what else you got offshore this week.
The mahi bite's still been steady offshore. We had kind of a slower season, but it's been decent now the past couple of weeks. You just got to plan on running around a lot on your boat. You got to look for them. They're not thick, really. You just got to move around and find them. So they're just kind of spread out. But you want to go offshore and look for birds diving down on weed lines and debris. Have yourself some good live pilchards for bait, or cut bait like squid. A nice little option of both is good to have. I always like it when the small recreational boats go offshore and have a really good day. We're a charter fishing community here in the Keys, especially on Murata. So here's a picture of just a skiff. It was a bay boat that this couple went offshore, Madison and Dalton. They just went out for fun on their bay boat, and they whooped the entire charter fleet that day and caught a 44-pound bull dolphin, biggest fish we'd seen in a long time. So I always like those little underdogs.
Awesome. I love it. Beautiful fish.
Oh, that's so awesome. All right, tell us about the inshore.
Inshore, we've had some smaller sized tarpon have been caught back in the Everglades National Park. They're not big, but they're still really fun. They put up a good fight. They pull hard. They jump out of the water and have good hard head shakes. Like tarpon are fun fish to catch, even the smaller ones. As for catching them, they'll eat many types of flies if you're fly fishing, as well as live and dead bait. So they can appeal to a wide variety of anglers too, which is nice. For bait fishing, we use live crabs or mullet, and you can fish near the bridges or in the channels where there's good water flow up by the park there, kind of along the shorelines. They can be around that area too. So.
All right, one more to go. What else you got?
One more. Sharks. And I know next week is our shark show, but it was just Shark Week on the Discovery Channel. So, which backs up to lobster season when we're all swimming. So it's kind of funny that they do that, Discovery. So anyway, I have to give sharks a mention. They're really easy target if you have some cut bait or fish carcasses to use. There's lots of sharks here in the Keys. And there's a good variety of them, too, from like these small little bonnet heads on the flats to like big lemons and bull sharks, and even like tiger sharks on the wrecks and stuff. And so lots of different options. You definitely need some good elbow grease. If you hook into a big one, you'll get a workout. They fight hard, and it's really fun to reel them in and say, take a picture with jaws and post it on the internet so all your friends can see. So there's, some people don't like to catch sharks, but the average person that comes to the Keys to like book a fishing charter or something, like catching a shark is really cool. Like you can say not that many people have caught a shark,
Right.
in reality. So just be sure to definitely cut the line if you catch a shark. Don't worry about your hook. Like the shark can keep the hook, it'll come out. Cut the line, don't risk your fingers. Here's a cool shark, one of my favorite species, a hammerhead. They're not that commonly caught either. So this hammerhead was caught and released with Captain Rick Stanzik in the backcountry.
All right, well, you got all the Stanziks in there this week.
Yep.
Say hello to Nick for us, and we're going to
I
go
will.
ahead and take a look at the shallow sport boats, hot spots. Sarah says inshore, the bonefish are around on the inshore flats early or late when it's not so hot. Look for the fish waking or just swimming in groups, or maybe a single, and just cast ahead of it. Let it sink, and then hopefully he's going to swim somewhere near your bait and find it, and you'll be hooked up. And then offshore, blackfin tunas have been on the humps offshore. Try to get there early in the morning with some live bait like pilchards. You will give your best shot at catching them with those pilchards, of course, Brie.
All right, well, we're bringing at some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys, so let's take a look. First, we're talking about the Bartenders Dolphin Tournament, August 14th in Layton, which is a one-day, fun-day dolphin tournament open to bartenders and restaurant employees. Next is the Florida Keys Lionfish Derby and Festival, September 7th through the 10th, ending with a final weigh-in of invasive lionfish catches along with a public festival at Postcard Inn in Isla Mirada. Then is the Herman Lucerne Memorial Backcountry Championship, where anglers fish for 7 species, September 15th, taking place within the boundaries of Everglades National Park, with proceeds supporting the park and Florida Bay. And finally, the Key Largo Rotaries Take Stock in Children Backcountry Challenge, which allows fishing day and night from Friday, September 22nd through Sunday, 24th, then presents awards for releases of redfish, snook, and trout in adult and junior divisions. For more information on Keys Tournament, go to flakeys.com. All right, next we're diving into the blue in the Dynapack Southeast region with Captain Jimbo Thomas, who is getting to the bottom of this deep dropping stuff. Go for it, Jimbo.
That's right, Bree, and hello, Rick and Dave. Deep dropping is basically bottom fishing just at super deep depths, and it's almost always with an electric reel, and it's really super popular today. Just about every boat you see heading offshore has an electric reel hanging off the back or on one of the rod holders. Now, deep drop depths range anywhere from 500 feet on out, and some people call shallower deep dropping also. And you definitely want to use some braided line so it'll cut through the water to help you hold the depths. Now, in the southeast region, there's a number of excellent eating species to fish for. We've got golden and blue tilefish, snowy groupers, yellow edge groupers, yellow eyes, and there's some queen snappers, although I've never caught one in the southeast region. Also, black belly rosefish along with swordfish and barrelfish. Those are the most commonly targeted deep drop fish. Now, a deep drop rig, which is basically a heavy-duty chicken rig, is the basic rig for most of these fish, except for a swordfish. And the amount of weight is determined on the current and also from the depth, anywhere from 3 to 15 pounds. And a lot of people, including myself, we like to hook a light up above the bait to give some attraction down there in the depths. Favorite baits are squid, bonita strips, and barracuda chunks. But first you have to find those fish. Now, whether you're going to a known spot or searching for a new one, a good bottom machine and GPS plotter are definitely a must. And most of the deep drop spots are natural ledges, ridges, and humps versus wrecks. So basically knowing to drop your bait and setting up your drip, that's crucial if you want to be successful. And just like with all kinds of fishing, some days they bite, some days they don't. Now, I've got a photo here, and this is Homestead's Mike Causley with a 50-pound snowy grouper that he caught deep dropping. And you're only allowed one snowy grouper, so you might as well make it a big one.
Right?
It is a big one there.
He certainly did. All right.
Yep.
What else
now,
you got?
Moving a little closer to shore, nighttime mangrove snapper bites still happening. The mangroves have been anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds. They're being found on the outside reef anywhere from 40 to 60 to 80 feet of water. And some nights they start to bite just after dark. Other nights it's 9 or 10 o'clock before they start to bite. You want to look for marks on your fish finder, or you can just anchor up and let those fish find you with the chum. Hard, ledgy bottom with some sea fans is a good place to start. You want to fish with a knocker rig. Use just enough weight to hold bottom. 30 to 40 pound mono or fluoro leaders and 10 to 30 hooks. Best baits have been cut sardines, ballyhoo, and bonita. And the Party Boat Reward out of Miami Marina, they've been doing night trips, which they do pretty much every night of the week. They're still catching their limit of mangroves, and along with a mix of yellowtails and muttons on the reefs off Government Cut. And they say that those bull sharks are still eating a lot of their fish, so got to get them in fast. Now, moving inshore, snook fishing is still really good in all the inlets. The snook, they're still schooled up in those inlets to spawn. Most of all the inlets are holding them. They're being caught on live pilchards, herrings, pinfish, croakers, and mullet. You want to fish them near the bottom using a Jupiter rig. A lot of these snook have been big, like 20-plus pounds. So you want to use some heavy mono leader or fluoro leader, 5/0 to 6/0 circle hooks. If you don't have any live baits, you can try working R&R flare hawk jigs or 4-inch gulp or Bass Assassin jerk baits along the bottom. Both the incoming and outgoing tides have been good early in the mornings or late in the afternoons into the evenings. Got another photo here. This is Henry. Didn't get his last name, but he's from Arizona with a nice catch and release Biscayne Bay snook caught aboard the Go Hard with Captain A.B. Raymond.
30 seconds on the bonefish.
Also, flats of Biscayne Bay been producing a lot of bonefish and permit. Any of the outside flats from Soldiers Key, South Angel, Fish Creek, they've been good, especially on the incoming tide. And we've had some extreme tides, so with a lot of water moving. Small blue crabs, what the permit and bones have been best, what they've been biting, or crab pattern flies, been working along with live shrimp. Get out there early in the morning before those flats get too hot.
All right, thank you so much, Jimbo. We're going to take a look at the Black Oak LED hotspots from the southeast region. Jimbo says fish live crabs for permit and bonefish on the outside flats of Biscayne Bay. And then offshore, look for the nighttime snappers on the edge of the outside reef using cut bait on the bottom.
All right, we're seeing what the Casa Vieja Southwest region is reeling in this weekend. But first, Dave and his guests are having some deep conversations over at the CCA workbench for Academy Sports and Outdoors Rings and Techniques. Excuse me, gentlemen, am I interrupting?
He's keeping me cool.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, if you're going to be deep dropping, it's hot out there, right?
Wait, are we bringing that fan with us?
Yes.
Heck yes, we'll be back.
Nice.
Hey,
What a concept.
Beat the heat.
Wait, that's actually genius.
It is genius.
People fight over this thing on
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Sirius XM Marine. Weather. Fish mapping. Entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Shallow Sport. Legendary performance. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
All right, we're here at the CCA workbench for the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques, and I'm stealing money again. I got Russell Kleppinger in here. He's going to tell us all about deep dropping. I've only done it 2 or 3 times, so we needed to get an expert in here. And Russell he owns a Bucket List Charters, and he's called the Tarpinator. He fishes for tarpon all the time, but tonight he's the deep drop king. He's going to tell us how to do the deepinator. So when we're out there starting off to go deep dropping, what are we trying to fish for? Where are we going? Where are we starting?
It depends on your region of the state and what your goal is, how much current you have. There's some variables you have to know. So if you're going for vermilions and the shallow stuff, then you go with the lighter rigs and start shallow. Or if you're trying
if we're starting off shallow with the lighter stuff, what are we talking about?
So 1 pound to 2 pounds of lead, something like this. These are raised new rigs, and these have no swivels on the 3-ways.
I got you.
So they're just tied.
So less hardware.
60-pound line.
Because you're in the shallower water, you're not chasing fish that are maybe quite as big or
It's a little smaller fish, but you have a stealthier rig.
Right.
And what's beautiful is that these swivels are hidden inside this piece of glow tubing. So when the rig can swivel, you don't pull the fish off, and there's no hardware here at these connections.
They don't twist off.
Right, and these are the new ones that he just came out with, the 60-pound rigs. And then as you start working a little deeper, his next rig up is a 130-pound rig, and it's another hand-tied rig.
Right.
So there's no big crimps in 3-ways, a little longer dropper. Little bigger hook. Again, it swivels. Ray says he's 250% higher landing ratios on the swivel hooks versus
well,
the
you know those guys always exaggerate. No,
he's a scientist.
Yeah,
so he's got the 2 rods.
There's
he's
nobody.
testing.
Yeah, there's nobody who tests his stuff more than Ray.
So
he says it, I believe it.
He doesn't pull the hooks when he can have the hook swivel like that.
Right. Well, you know, when you're pulling up stuff, even in shallow water bottom, you notice that everything gets all twisted, and if they're using that twist against you, they can come out.
On the way up, they pop off easier.
And especially when you're using, I guess, we're usually using electric reels. So we got a lot of torque, and we're moving them pretty quickly, a lot faster than we would be cranking.
Right.
So those swivels do come in handy. Let's say we got the 1 pound weights for the shallow guys, going out deeper, real deep dropping, 500 to 600 feet. What size weights and stuff are we using there?
It all depends on the current in your area.
Right.
You know, if you're in the Gulf side,
the less current is best.
Yeah,
so
I mean it's beautiful. It's all you can as light as you can get away with.
Right.
So if you can live with 2 to 3 pounds and 600 or 700 feet, your life is easy. But if you're over here in the southeast area and we have the Gulf Stream, that's very rare.
Right.
Usually you're starting with 5, 6, and 8 pounds, and we have to go to much heavier reels, and we're going up to 10-pound lead just to get down because we'll have 4 or 5 knots of current. So if you have lighter current, you fish a lighter rig and thinner braids. And when you're bringing them up, don't bring them at full blast volume, at half throttle, so you're not tearing the fish off as easily. Like kind of back off the drags where you're just gaining line all the time, stalling it if there's a big wave, instead of full drag and full power where it's just so much torque that you pull the hooks on them. I mean, it's
right. Now you mentioned something earlier to me before we came on, about making sure that everything is laying on the bottom. What does that entail?
So when we say lay it down, like I'll tell my guy on the rod, I'll say, all right, lay the rig down. So when that rig hits the bottom, if you watch the videos, you'll see the grouper and the lead will be bouncing, and there'll be groupers and snappers staring at the lead, and the hooks are above their head basically up here, and their focus is on this thing that's moving. But when you stop and you free spool it and the rig falls over, and then the rig lays down against the bottom, it
all the baits
still,
and everything are laying on the bottom.
And sometimes people even put like a 2-ounce weight at the top snap swivel to let it lay down flat. But when it sits still and you put it in free spool and start drifting away, you'll feel the line start jumping, and then you'll engage and give power to it and lift the rig up and catch them. But a lot of the times, if the rig is moving, bouncing, you may snag more if you're dragging and or not getting as many bites as when you stop and leave it in free spool. And that's where there's a big difference when you can hold the rod versus have the rod holder. If you can hold it, like we were talking about earlier on a Fathom 40, and with 20-pound braid and you're drifting, you can feel those bites. But when it's in the rod holder and the boat is doing it, you just don't have that sensitivity.
Right. Well.
But when you lay it down, you can
really
become sensitive.
Well, that's about it, man. We're done. That went pretty quick, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Well, I hope you guys learned something.
You know what I learned from that, Dave?
Let it lay down.
Is
Lay
bottom
down.
fishing's bottom fishing, and you gotta have your bait on the bottom. Otherwise, you're only gonna be catching those stragglers.
There we go.
Thank you for that, Russell. That was good stuff.
Laying it down. All right, well, the Casa Vieja Southwest region is no stranger to some deep dropping, so let's see what techniques Captain Ronnie Houston has for us. Let's hear it, Ronnie.
Well, first of all, Rick and Brie, I got to thank the general manager, Mike, and his staff at the plantation, Crystal River, for a great time up there over the weekend. Nothing like waking up at my leisure, going into the lobby, grabbing a cup of coffee, and then stepping out of the back room into my boat. Great accommodations. I strongly suggest it. Great time for all. But, deep dropping, most deep dropping on my side occurs anywhere from 550 to 1,200 feet of water. Now, anything shallower, according to Captain Mike Avanon, you can use vertical jigs basically to catch a wide variety of groupers. But deeper, you want to be using electric reels with multi-hook rigs. And he's telling me 3 pounds of lead is enough for most days. He's saying also, as the closer we get to a full moon, you're going to have bigger and stronger tides. Squid is generally the #1 bait, but bait chunks of bonita or blue runner work very well. You can also use fish bites for something that stays on the hook a little longer. He says 65-pound braid is the norm for deep dropping on the electronics, but if you're trying jigs with spinning reels, he's saying 40-pound braid will get the job done. And I've got a couple of pictures of some deep dropping fish. First one should be a barrel fish, and the second one should be a blue line tile. Those are the type fish we catch when we're over here deep dropping. Still on the offshore side, the mangrove snappers. Winds have been light, not a lot of rain. Fort Myers Beach is stumped past, 65 to 85 feet of water, fishing wrecks and ledges on most moderate days. But also having some great reports about the night fishing after the passing of the full moon last week. In all cases, chumming's been the key, whether it be box chum, cut pilchards, or cut herring. Try not to feed these fish too much, just enough to get them, active and going. Also dropping back cut baits once you do get them going. You can either flat line, you can use split shots, depending upon the water clarity, 20 to 30-pound leader. And bright-colored jig heads also work anywhere from 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce. Dropping back baits, they also work as well. Now, on the inshore side, the snooks. Mixed reports with the daytime and nighttime fishing. Guys are fishing intercoastal docks and seawalls from Naples all the way up to Fort Myers Beach. Now, the daytime fishing, live baits seem to work a little better for numbers, whether it be chumming live pilchards to get the fish going. But if you get some pilchards, you might want to also try to get some thread fins. Throw in a bigger thread fin in the mix while you're throwing out them smaller baits. Also, bigger herring for bigger fish. Nighttime, it's been a little bit different. Live shrimp, live pinfish, artificial shrimp, and paddle tails, and there's a root beer, glow, 4 to 6 inch swim baits, along with a variety of bucktails, 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce, and you want some bright colored bucktails. And there's a nice snook that was just caught in the last week while fishing the intercoastal during the day with Captain Chris McCubbin. Last species is going to be the redfish. Goodland south to Everglades National Park, fishing the outer Gulf Islands, points on the lower stages of the tide, and especially in areas where now there's some roaming mullet moving in. Once the tide gets too high, I've said it for the last couple of weeks, fishing gets a little tough, and then fish are tied up under the bushes, and also with the flood tide, the bite can be tough. But on your lower stages, baits like live pinfish, pilchards, chummed up, either cut mullet or ladyfish, but also a variety of artificials, topwater walk-the dog lures like the Berkeley J Walker, strictly on points or casted into those schools of roaming mullet schools as well. Now, your bigger gold spoons, 1/2 ounce, are also working, but like I say, on your higher tides, bait can be tough. Cut baits up under the bushes, especially in the heat of the day. I've got a nice oversized threadfish just recently caught in the last week by Captain Derek Baffin down in the Everglades. Weather's still looking good for the weekend. We're not getting a lot of rain. So guys, get out, catch you some fish.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Serenity Bait Company's hotspots from the Southwest region. He says inshore, nighttime tarpon fishing. The bridge spans throughout the entire region with good moving water and along those shadow line edges. And then offshore, the red snapper fishing from Marco to Fort Myers Beach in 160 to 200 feet of water using live pinfish, cigar minnows, and cut baits.
All right, well, if you didn't hear, CCA Florida Star, presented by Yamaha, had their very first winner last week, and they chose The Contender. But don't worry, there is still a Pathfinder, Deck Cat, Carolina Skiff, and Sea-Doo Can-Am package up for grabs, plus $50,000 from Alto Equipment. But you have to be registered and you have to be a member in order to win. But you know what? It's not just tagged fish that win some great prizes. Any fish can win. You still have until Labor Day to get registered and enter your catches. So head to ccaflstar.com to get registered. Still lots of stuff left.
Yep.
Go get it.
Get it, guys.
All right, the Discover Crystal River Northwest and Fish Bites East regions have some unfathomable reports coming your way. So stay hooked on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, deep drop style, and we'll be right back. Did you get it?
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, your fish, our science, Bahio Sunglasses, blue light blocking, radically clear lenses, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong, Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure, Kubota, together we do more, Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA, and Yanmar ASV, a leader in compact equipment.
You know, Brie, one of my favorite things when it comes to fishing is certainly eating the fish. I went to visit my buddy Jeremy, Chef Jeremy at Daiquiri Deck. Take a look at what we got into.
Ooh, let's see.
Well, guys, as you can see, I'm at one of my favorite kitchens right here at Daiquiri Deck, and I got Chef Jeremy with me. Chef, what do we got on the menu this week?
All right, today we're going to do a char-grilled tuna. Really nice center cut piece here. We're going to season it up with some olive oil.
All right.
Both sides. A little salt.
Seasoning's always important, right?
It's very important, yes, sir. Yep. You know, most of this stuff doesn't come seasoned, right?
Exactly.
All right, then we're going to go right on the grill with this.
All right. Let me get out of the way here. Nice. So, Chef, what are we going to season that up with as far as a glaze?
So we're going to make a tin cup whiskey, heavy cream, Dijon mustard sauce.
You know, the cool thing about Tin Cup, it comes with its own shot glass, and that's the one way you can recognize it when you go to the store to buy it.
No, that's really cool.
Here, I'm going to let you do the
Okay, yep, we're going to hold for just a second. We want to do it in the right steps here.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with our butter in the pan. We're going to add the garlic, or the shallots, some fresh garlic. Just going to let that stir around. This is easy. You can do this a little bit ahead of time as well, because you want to turn your tuna and make sure that we got a nice medium rare.
Is it time for me to do that?
We can, yeah.
All right.
All right, and what we're looking for here is a little bit of browning on our shallots and our garlic.
Got it.
You know, and then you want to just turn your heat down a little bit. You might singe your hairs, and we're going to deglaze with some of this tin cup whiskey.
Speak for yourself on singeing the hairs there, bud. Nice.
You know, there we go. See that? All right, we're going to let that cook off a little bit. We're going to add our heavy cream to it. A little Dijon mustard. All right, we can let that sit for just a minute. We can go back and attend to our tuna.
Go ahead.
And give her a nice little flip. And our sauce is finished. We're gonna pull it off and just set it right beside our grill here to keep it warm. We're ready. We can go to the plate, Rick, if you'd like to do that. Yep. We're gonna come over here. All right, and then we're gonna take our tuna. We just want to slice it nice and thin.
Okay. Nice.
Nice rare there.
I'm getting hungry just watching you work.
All right.
So what I'm gonna pair this with, Jeremy, is one of my favorite tin cup recipes. I love ginger ale, especially in the afternoon. You know, you just don't have any caffeine, so I'm gonna like that. So I got ginger ale with a twist of lemon. We're gonna go ahead and put a shot in there, one for me, one for you.
There we go.
We're gonna dump that in there, and now we're ready to go. We'll mix that up. We'll squeeze that twist when we're ready, and that's gonna, I think, pair up quite nicely.
Okay, now we're ready to put our sauce on here.
Wow. Wow.
There we have it. Little lime wedge there, and some nice little micros around there. Got some cilantro, red oak.
So what's a man got to do to get a fork
Oh,
around
yeah,
here?
we can help you out there.
All right.
Oh, that's nice.
It really is. Oh my goodness. You can taste all of the things. The mustard, the whiskey.
Oh.
Guys, if you want more, you can go on our website, the Florida Insider Fishing Report, check out the recipe, and make sure you look up while you're there all the daiquiri deck locations.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's nice, Rick.
Yeah.
Tin cup in your cup, tin cup in your sauce. I'm jealous. I'm like drooling and I'm hungry now.
I'm
Thanks,
so
Rick.
hungry now. Can we just like go to commercial break for a bite?
Yeah.
All right,
I'm gonna make that sauce at home. All right, Captain Jeff Hageman is getting on that deep drop good in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region. So Hag, tell us just how good it really is.
We have some great deep drop fishing on our coast with all the 3 and 4 engine boats that are out there now that are fast. Anglers are finding out just how good it is. Captain Rob Davenport in our region really specializes in deep dropping. It's good from anywhere from 500 to 1,000 feet of water. He's catching a good variety of species from some big kitty mitchell's and shallower to queen snapper, yellow-eyed snapper, blue line tiles, golden tiles, yellow edge and snowies and warsaws. Trick to deep drop fishing is good high-speed electric reel with a 100-pound braid on it. A 3-hook chicken rig does the trick, 5-aught to 12-aught, depending on what you're targeting out there, and anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds of lead, depending on the current we have on our side. You want to look for hard bottom for most of the species, with the exception of the golden tiles. They like that mud, so you want to find a mud bottom for them. Best baits, whole squid, cut-up barracuda strips work really well. Cut-up bonita strips work good, too. The shallower stuff like Kitty Mitchell's, you can use live bait on. I've got some photos from Captain Rob on a recent deep drop tip. Got a big-eyed Turo, Captain Rob himself.
Yeah.
Another beautiful queen snapper. Love those guys. They eat awesome.
Yep.
Pretty.
And a blue line tile.
Nice. All right. Well, good.
Got it covered.
What else you got for us offshore this week there, Cap?
Staying offshore, Captain Jim Parler with Big Daddy Sport Fishing Charters out of St. Pete reports a great mangrove snapper bite right now. This last moon we just had, they're still on the spawn. Captain Jim's chumming them up to the surface with fresh cut white bait or sardines in anywhere from 8 to 10 foot, a 15-pound fluorocarbon leader, and a 1-aught circle hook. Jim's targeting his his slower moving tides on the change of the tides. So you want to get out there right when the tide's changing, and he's fishing the near shore, rock piles, ledges, and shallow water wrecks. And I've got a great photo of a beautiful mango, and I know you appreciate that. You like eating them.
Oof.
With Captain Jim.
All right, let's go inshore, bub.
Captain Lee Thomas reports a great bite right this week in St. Joe Bay. Early morning redfish bite has been best with a live pinfish under a popping cork with about 14 inches of fluorocarbon underneath it over the grass. As the temperature rises, you want to transition to fishing with a Carolina rig, and you want to move out to the edge of the channels near the grass with a 2-aught live bait hook and 18 to 24 inches of fluorocarbon leader. He's using an extra long shank hook when he gets out there, because there's a lot of small sharks right now to keep you from losing your hooks and losing your baits.
All right, what else?
Inshore, Captain Bobby Brandy of Steinhatcher reports the scallopins are really, really good right now, best they've had. Limits of scallops have been found anywhere from 2 foot of water to 6 feet of water. It's not always going to where the other boats are. Find a depth you're comfortable with, swim in and jump in. Like I said, it's been one of their best seasons in Steinhatchee for scallops. Moving down the coast, Captain Mario Costello, Tall Tales Charters out of Ozella Keys Marina, reports a good scallop bite, or good scallops right now found in Ozella to Homosassa in deeper water, anywhere from 8 to 11 feet. He's still looking for potholes next to grass patches. When it's that deep, it's a little easier to see him down in those potholes where there's less grass, or find some shorter grass and target those locations as well. The current may be a little stronger, so keep popping your head up, look for your boat, make sure you're not getting too far when you're in that depth of water, and every now and then, about every 15 or 30 minutes, move your boat around a couple hundred yards, and you'll increase your chances of limiting out and a bunch of scallops.
All right, that's awesome. What else you got? Is that it? You're done with Mario? All right, well, thank you so much, man. Give that Christina a kiss for me and Brie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ozella Key Marina hotspots. Jeff says inshore, snook along the beaches and the passes, use live pinfish and grunts for bait to catch some snooks. And then offshore, the mangrove snappers can be found on the high relief structure in 25 to 75 feet of water.
I saw you swimming around in those yellow shorts getting all them scallops.
And did you see me
You were so
doing
happy with your bag.
That was pre-splashdown.
That was. Okay, get your electric reels ready for the Fish Bites East region where Captain Mike Holliday is putting us on the busy bottom. Go for it, Mike.
Brie, the majority of our deep drop anglers in my region target rosefish, barrelfish, and tilefish over mud bottom and anywhere from 500 to 800 feet of water. But around rocky atolls like Push Button Hill off Martin County, you can also find some nice snowy grouper. And there's also some good deep water wrecks in my region that hold Warsaw grouper. Most of the anglers use electric reels and 3 or 4 hook circle rigs, up to 15 pounds of weight, depending on how strong the current's running. It's been running pretty hard lately. When fishing the mud, you actually want your lead to bounce off the bottom. As the boat rocks, it kind of creates puffs in the sand to help those fish find the bait. Anything from a whole squid to a chunk of ladyfish or a bonita strip will work well. For the grouper, a live croaker, a pinfish, blue runner, or goggle eye are good baits, as well as a white jig with a glowworm. That seems to work really well. Average tile fish in my region is going to be like 5 to 10 pounds. Snowy seem to run about 10 to 15 pounds. And Warsaw groupers can easily top 100 pounds. I got a great photo. The Rich Du Bois, the Salty Days Charters in Port St. Lucie sent me. That's a nice golden tilefish they got on a whole squid. Deep dropping in 640 feet of water southeast of the St. Lucie Inlet. The other bite we got going, we got a big push of weeds and finally some north current. That's moved the dolphin into the area. The downside is that a lot of the fish are small and even super small. So you want to be well aware of the 20-inch size limit, 5 fish per person bag limit, and 30 fish per boat limit. The best action has been out deep in 200 to 1,000 feet of water or more, although, fish have been caught as shallow as 30 feet of water, so you never know. The key to finding dolphin right now is to cover a lot of water, and you do that by trolling rig ballyhoo with a blue and white or a pink skirt, or you can troll a skirt and strip combination, or just trolling feathers or lures and cover a lot of water. Have some chunks of ballyhoo cut up and a couple of spinning rods rigged for when you encounter a school of fish. Average dolphin in my region, 5 to 10 pounds, although there are some bigger fish. Maggie Beatty sent me this photo. She caught this nice dolphin in 60 feet of water off Jensen Beach, and that fish ate a live threadfin.
Sure did. All right, bud, let's go inshore.
Well, the catch and release snook action has been strong along the beach in places like Blowing Rocks, Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, Bob Graham Beach, and South Beach in Fort Pierce. All the inlets have fish on them as well, as does the Lake Worth and Juneau Piers. And don't overlook the spillways in Palm Beach County when we get these afternoon rains. On the beaches, look for the juvenile pilchard and threadfin schools, or if you're lucky enough, some red minnows. That'll be up on the northern end of my region. Work the edges of the schools with a 4-inch copper juice or gray ghost colored saltwater sass and sea shad. You can also find some mullet on the beach right now. A lot of early season mullet are showing up. They'll make a good bait in the inlets. Threadfins and croakers are the top baits. At the spillways, mullet and big jigs are the best baits. Average snook in my region, 10 to 20 pounds. I got a great photo of 12-year-old Emily Hendry. She caught that snook in the surf off Jensen Beach on a live croaker.
Nice.
Go, girl.
And then, well, the other stuff we got going, the resident tarpon bite's starting to come on strong in the inlets and along the beaches as those fish kind of prep for the upcoming mullet run. It seems like the largest fish are on the bait schools on the beach in places like the Vero Cove and the Pines area, as well off the St. Lucie Power Plant. There's also good fish up in the rivers around the St. Lucie Locks and the Roosevelt Bridge and around Big Mud Creek and the Moorings Channel up in Vero. Target the fish with anything from a live or dead mullet to a crab, even a live threadfin. On the beach, a white saltwater assassin vapor shad or a split tail shad will work really well, particularly around those red minnow schools. And in the inlets, It's been live mullet or threadfin. Average tarpon in my region is 60 to 100 pounds. And I got a great photo Captain Jimmy Walden sent of a nice tarpon he got out of the St. Lucie River on a live mullet.
Awesome. Let's go talk a little bit about some bassing, Bub. Is this heat hurting them?
Oh, man, it's been really brutal. The water temperatures on Kissimmee Toho Train have pushed a lot of the fish out of the shallows and into the deeper areas of the lake. Water is over 90 degrees. I was talking to Captain Steve Niemiller of BassOnline.com. He's saying you want to be on the water at dawn, looking for those areas in the middle of the lakes where the hydrilla gets sparse and there's some open holes. You can even create your own open holes if you want to. You want to fish the edges of those holes with a green pumpkin magic or a watermelon red glitter, Bass Assassin RSB worm, or a prop style topwater bait. Work them really slow. The fish are not aggressive. If you work them slow, you'll get the bite though. And then by 10 a.m., the bite's really slowing down. If it rains, you can find moving water around the canals. You can fish a wacky rig, bat job, or a suspending crankbait and do well. But really, in the heat of the day, the best action is coming on over the shell beds on Lake Toho on live shiners. And Nye Miller says it's a 15 to 25 fish morning with average bass 1 to 3 pounds and fish to about 6 pounds right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the T&H Marine hotspots. Mike says the mangrove snappers are along the rocks in St. Lucie Inlet. Fish sardines, pilchards, and sand perch on the slack tide for those snappers. And then offshore, yellowtail snappers on the reefs and 55 to 65 feet of water off of Palm Beach. Pilchards, sardines, squid, and cigar minnows. Looks like he's got the snapper trifecta in the hotspots.
Minos. Okay,
Minos.
if you love Yamaha is loving on you during Yamaha's Summer Sunset Sales Event. Yep, that's right. Get up to 5 years warranty coverage on a boat package with eligible new 30 to 300 HP outboards, or up to 7 years with eligible 425 HP outboards. Also, if you purchase an eligible 2.5 to 25 HP model, you can receive up to a $300 dealer credit. Visit your local Yamaha dealer today for more of those details. The Real Legend Central East region is giving us some great options for our weekend ahead. Plus, Dave is giving us plenty of shoptions for our Taco Marine new products at the CCA Workbench.
Yes, I am. But I think we're going to have to get these guys to have a full on-set presence from now on.
I agree.
The Ocean Tamer guys.
I agree. You look way too comfy.
I'm going to be hitting them hard.
I think Rick and I are going to have to do the new product segment.
I can see that I'm going to be paying Dave for some nap.
Yeah.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Penn, let the battle begin. Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. Best lures, period. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Well, it's my turn here at the CCA Workbench, and we're going to troll the edge with a bunch of new products. Dave, what are we rolling with this week?
I'm still laughing. We got the TH Marine Anchor Master Anchor Retriever there. It's a really cool retrieval system. Actually, this is the first one ever that sold that's as a kit.
Yes.
You know, you used to have to buy all this stuff separate and make your own, but these guys were the very first ones to do it all themselves. And it, allows you to retrieve and anchor safely and without all the work, because what it does is you attach that ring to your anchor line.
That's
that
correct.
poly ball, you inflate that poly ball. They even have a
Correct.
little thing to put in there to put on your pump to fill that poly ball up, special
right.
attachment. And put this on your anchor line.
You're going to take this clip,
throw that in the water.
For 1 second.
You
Run
throw
your
that-
anchor line through there.
Yep, throw that in the water, and you run towards the anchor.
Correct.
And then you go past the anchor about 6 to 8 knots, and this thing will submerge. It'll follow the anchor line down through that ring and float your anchor off the bottom. And then when your anchor pops up to the top with the ball on it, you just easy peasy, just wind the ball right to the boat. You're not having to pick up that big old anchor hand over hand, putting yourself in danger.
TH Marine make this in different sizes for different size anchors.
Yep.
Dave?
And that Yes, they do, and that's the all stainless hardware on there and whatnot. That'll pick up a 20-pounder right there. That one. So.
20-pound anchor.
Yeah, a Danforth type. Yeah, fluke anchor actually. So.
All right.
So go to TH Marine to get your anchor retriever.
Right. Now we got a little sea sucker going on.
Sea sucker. This is the recycle waistband kit. You know, nowadays we got all these cans and all these little plastic bottles. Everybody's drinking water out of a bottle now. So you got all these things flying around the boat or laying around the campsite, you know, getting blown off the tables and whatnot. Well, this is a good little thing. You can put them in, and all those cans and bottles and whatnot, you can put it in the recycle. It comes in 2 sizes. This is the bigger one with the 2 sea suckers on the back. Those are 120 pounds a piece. They'll go on to any flat surface on the tailgate of your truck, on the side of your bait well, wherever you need it.
Yeah, side of the console,
exactly.
bulkhead.
Just pop that little sucker down.
Keep pumping the pumper
until the yellow goes away, and then you're ready to go. Yes. And each one of those is 120 pounds, so it'll keep you good.
All right.
Seasucker.com to get that.
Yes, sir.
Next, we have the fish bites, fishing chunks. You know, we were talking about deep dropping earlier. These are perfect for that. These are made for larger fish species, you know, for bottom fishing, for groupers and snappers and whatnot. They come in 3 flavors: crab, shrimp, and squid. They're all that flesh colored, that white color, which is perfect for, you know, it looks just like a piece of cut bait, and it stays on there. There's 10 of them per pack in there, and they stay on the hook. If you're deep dropping and you're dropping down 1,000 feet, you don't want to be dropping down a bunch of squid and then only have half your squid get to the bottom.
Or have none.
Or have none of them get to the bottom.
You're fishing naked.
You pin the squid on there and then put that behind it, and it's going to stay on there. And even if it doesn't, they're going to eat that fish bites anyway.
All right.
So it's a great thing for bottom fishing and for deep dropping.
One of my favorite tools of all times, right here. Fish bites.
They work great.
All right, what else you got?
Fishbites.com to go to
What else you got over here, Dave?
Next, we have the Ocean Tamer bean bags. They're great, movable, stowable seating. They're really great for center console boats. You know, if you have a couple people on the boat, they can sit in the back near the back of the boat where it's a lot softer and the ride's a lot softer. You're not taking that big pounding. They're 100% marine grade, waterproof, UV, and mildew resistant. Fully customizable. You see we got the different logos on there, the Florida, CCA Florida Sportsman's Adventures, and you can put your boat name on there, whatever you want. They absorb shock, obviously, because that's, you know, you get in there and sit in there and you're pounding. You're not going to be pounding in that thing because they have these special proprietary closed cell beads that do not absorb water and they don't get mildewy. So
it's perfect to put between the leaning post against the back bulkhead, and you have your arm with your cup holder in the Pathfinder right here. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I got a couple of handles on the back so you can, you know, carry 2 at a time. They're
and
really
then hang
lightweight.
them in the garage after you rinse them off.
Yeah.
Perfect. Where do we go to get them?
OceanTamer.com.
Oh, I did not think you were getting up out of that chair.
I wasn't.
You looked way too comfortable.
I was getting the evil eye from my wife. Work wife.
Not wife.
Work wife.
Not wife.
They're a little low.
All right, well, another product over here I have is the Tin Cup Adventure Pack. I'm a whiskey girl, so I'm pretty excited about this little baby right here. It's made with double-walled stainless steel, so it will stay insulated on all of your outdoor adventures. Same tin cup whiskey without the glass. Count me in. All right, back to business with our Captain Jim Ross, who is taking us deep dropping in the Rio Legends Central East region. And boy, does he have some tips for us, including some lotion we should look into. Hi, Jim.
Yeah, you might have to get you a little bit. You know, deep dropping in the Central East region has absolutely exploded over the last 10 years, and everybody seems like they're doing it. I mean, heck, even guys in a little, 23, 25-foot center consoles are getting out there and catching these deep water fish. But if you're going to do it in this part of the state, you're going to have to get an electric reel for the most part, or like Brie was saying, you're going to get a really big can of some MAN lotion and rub that all over yourself if you plan to do some searching down in our deep water structures for tilefish and barrelfish and yellow edge grouper and swordfish and obviously more. So when you're targeting these fish, we typically call it the 350-foot range is about where it starts, out to about 1,800 feet of water. But you're going to need this very specialized equipment that we were talking about. Electric reels are the biggest expense. So, the smaller ones are starting around $1,500, but some of those larger ones that we're fishing for swordfish with can be over $8,000. So, it's not a cheap game if you want to get involved with it. Large window sash weights from 5 to 12 pounds are common, and that keeps the bow out of your 80-pound test braided line. Most of our leaders on the shallow stuff are 120 to 200 pound test range, targeting like tilefish and some of those other groupers. The guys that are going out for the swordfish are typically using 200 to 300 pound test leader, and that's to keep from chafing off on their bills. Now, most of the time, this type of fishing is not a single angler sport. It's a team effort. So you got a boat driver, you got an angler, you got a gaff guy. Everybody has to work together to make this catch possible. And anglers that are deep dropping off the Real Legends region need to look at 40 to about 65 miles offshore for the proper depths to catch those species that we talked about. Now, golden tilefish, I've got a picture here. Golden tilefish are out of season right now, but look at the size of this one. 39-pound, 10-ounce golden tile that Chris Pastos caught not too long ago. And then Mike Hartnett has a nice pomfret here, which is one of those really weird deep water species that you get out when you're trying to swordfish sometimes.
That's a permit for the down deep, baby.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Rick. You know, and staying offshore, the triple tail continue to be pretty good. We've got a midsummer shrimp run going along the near coastal waters, and it's not necessarily unusual, but it doesn't happen every single year. So on the years that the shrimp do run, you know, we get these different species to play with, and triple tail seem to be one of those that we got this year. We've also got an unusual number of pompano for whatever reason, and I think once again because of the shrimp. But you want to look in the 15 to 45 foot depths, and buoys, floating debris, other debris, anything floating will hold these fish. It's best to cast a live shrimp on a 2/0 circle hook, and if you've got those fish down deep, like on a buoy chain or something, use a small jig head. That seems to work really well. Now, most of our triple tail are running about 15 to 18 inches, but there's some nice double-digit fish that are out there. I've got Rennie James here with one that she caught with me. Nice chunky one she caught the other day while we were triple tail fishing, and that one actually went double digits.
All right, let's go offshore. Let's go inshore, sorry.
Rick, our tarpon are still on the beaches. Now, we've had a little bit of cold water that started to move in the last couple of days, so we had big pushes of fish that came down the beach in front of that cold water. So if you're in front of the push, you're in the fish. If you're behind the push, you're not in the fish, or you're in fish that aren't eating. So be very aware of your water temperature right now. 5/0 to 8/0 size circle hooks, and you put that in a pogey, a greenie, a croaker. That seems to be working really good. Now, lip diving plugs and soft swim baits are also working really good at dawn and dusk periods for those fish that are just outside the surf break. And in some of the areas, you can also catch them along the tide lines on those artificials. So use a fluorocarbon leader running, you know, anywhere in that 50, 60, 80 pound test. And most of our fish are running between about 60 and 80 pounds, but we've got quite a few fish that are still well over 100. And then snook is our last species that we're going to talk about tonight. And the snook fishing has absolutely been on fire since this last full moon. Live croakers and shrimp seem to be the two best baits right now. Shrimp on the outgoing tide, croakers pretty much any tide. Sebastian Inlet right now, the guys that are using croakers down there are just absolutely getting crushed off the North Jetty. And so if you're fishing from the jetty or if you're in a boat, it doesn't really matter. Now at nighttime though, R&R flare hawk jigs and chartreuse white and blue seem to be working good. And that R&R soft plastic lure that has the detachable hook where the hook slides away from the bait. Yes, Rick, you're showing it now. That thing is on fire too. So make sure that you get a chance to check those out at your local tackle store, because that bait right there has been really good. Another one that's been really good, especially for the guys fishing the surf, is a little bit smaller bait. It's the 5-inch Artemis shad and the 4-inch sea shad that Saltwater Assassin make. Now, here's the funny thing. The magic grass color has been like the top color in the dirty water. And then when you get a little bit cleaner water, or if it's a little tannin like on the outgoing tide, then that bounty hunter seems to be working best. So our average beach snook is running about 30 to 35 inches. And I've got a nice little picture here of one that we put in the boat the other day.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots from the Central East region. Jim says that we're going to go inshore fishing for Ponce Inlet on the jetties for the snook and the tarpon. Use live croakers, free line for tarpon, and try a knocker rig for the snooks. And then offshore, deep dropping at 500 to 1,800 feet of water for those golden edge groupers and swordfish. Use squid or fish belly strips for bait.
All right, well, it's time to show our support again for Florida's fisheries with a Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. For just $25, proceeds for this beautiful redfish tag support protecting and enhancing Florida's saltwater marine resources, habitat restoration, water quality, and coastal environmental education. Visit your local DMV or visit redfishtag.com. But you know what? The front runner boats Northeast and StarTron Central West regions are dropping by next. But before we go, make sure you scan that QR code. It's an easy peasy way to sign up for our live audience shark show coming up August 16th. Plus, it's a one-stop shop to get connected to our Facebook pages, Instagram, as well as our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. Plus, we just launched our brand new website, so make sure you check it out. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Tin Cup, Mountain Whiskey. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Diamond Fishing Products. Our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
They have no idea of the commercial stuff.
No, they don't. All right, well, we're not going too deep in the front runner boats Northeast region, but we're still bringing up the snapper, which is A-okay with me. Tommy D, talk to us, quick.
Okay, Brie. That's right, we're not going too deep, but hey, there's not a whole lot of that deep dropping happening here in the front runner boats Northeast region. A couple guys do it, but, you know, there are a lot of big mangrove and mutton snappers being caught. So I thought I'd talk about that this week. You know, anglers, they're going that extra mile or 20, 30 miles sometimes, and they're catching good numbers of snappers this week. Structures, ledges, live bottom in that 120 to about 140-foot depth. Those are holding some schooled-up mangrove snapper. You know, and as we come up on the new moon next week, look for those snapper to get even more grouped up into bigger schools. Chumming with cut sardines, cut pogies, or really any kind of dead bait is going to help get those fish up a little bit off the bottom. And those big mangrove snappers, you know what? They're pretty smart. That's why they got so big. You're going to downsize your setup a little bit. Go with a long, maybe 30-pound fluorocarbon leader, a smaller, maybe 2 to 4-aught circle hook. That's going to get some more bites. And the big mutton snappers, they're down a little bit more, and they're going to be eating some live bait like big pinfish, grunts, or even some big pogies. And, hey, if anybody goes out there this weekend, let me know. I need some of those fillets. I could use some of those in my life right now, too. And I've got a photo here, guys. Captain Jimmy Laidler and his crew at the Legend Fishing Adventures, they've been absolutely killing it this summer with all the snappers they've been catching, and then some. This is a picture from a trip they ran last week. I think they caught all the fish.
They did.
Yeah, they did catch all the fish. They were mad at the ocean, bro.
Bruh.
So moving on to the kingfish, guys. The kingfish bite, I've been talking about a lot. It's just a staple for us. It continues to be strong throughout the region this week. There's been a ton of big kingfish caught all summer, with those, and those big fish are still on the beach. The King of the Beach tournament was last weekend, and the winning fish was right at about 45 pounds. Now, it seems like you need to be right around that 45-pound mark or even a little more to win one of those local kingfish tournaments these days. Slow troll pogies are going to be the way to go, as it always is. Slow troll those either on the top or on a downrigger. You can zigzag from about 30 to 60 feet. I did hear that some of the bigger fish caught last weekend came off trolled ribbon fish, so that might be something you might want to pick up at your local bait shop before you go this weekend. And speaking of big kingfish, I got another photo here. Captain Robert Holmquist from Lucky Bird Charters, he sent me this picture of his clients Pat and Larry with that 43-pound kingfish that they recently caught along the beach.
Nice.
And then moving inshore, you know, the redfish bite, it's been a little slow last couple of weeks, probably because of the heat, but it's picked up for me this week. We've had some flood tides in the mix recently, and these early in the season flood tides are usually some of the best. The water and the air temperatures, they're crazy hot right now. So you're going to want to look for the better bite on those upcoming flood tides to be when they're early or a little later in the day when it's a little cooler. Those midday tides, it can be a little tough. Those fish don't like it, might not get up shallow in the heat of the day. Now, low tide fishing has been great. We've had some really low tides. I've been finding schooled up fish in some of the super shallow water. With low tide being mid-morning this weekend, it's going to be hot. The fish very slow, or even just fish with some cut bait, like maybe a piece of mullet or a piece of crab. Those shallow reds are going to be moving slow. so best to make it easy for them to find your bait. We do have a high outgoing tide first thing in the morning, and that's going to be a great time to toss the topwater plug. There's a bunch of smaller finger mullet around right now, so I'm going to have my clients toss the Berkley Jaywalker 100. That little bit smaller topwater matches those little mullets perfectly, and they will absolutely crush that thing. Now, also inshore, guys, the tarpon. They're still hanging around in good numbers. You know, I've been finding some big laid-up fish in the ocean, which is kind of rare for us, but the water's been clear out there, and I've actually been finding some laid-up fish. Look for sandbars and tide rips to be holding those fish. Now, they're also in the pokey pods, feeding early, and then later in the day. That's kind of a theme right now when it's a little cooler. The pogies have been here one day, kind of gone the next, so you may have to make a run to find them up and down the beach, but they have been out there. The better tarpon bite for me has been when we find them without the presence of the bait, and they're hungry and they're really willing to eat in that situation. The R&R tackle line through swim baits, like I think Jim was talking about them as well, they've been working for those ocean fish and the ones that are just hanging out on the rips at the inlet. Just wait to see a rolling fish, toss that swim bait in front of it and a little pass, and then just reel it straight in. No need to jig it or anything else. And I tell you what, there is nothing like that thump that you get when a tarpon hits that moving swim bait. It's a lot of fun. And I've got one last picture. This is Jason and Jordan with Jordan's first tarpon. They caught that big fish with me out of a pokey pod along St. Augustine Beach. And let me tell you, Jason was so stoked that Jordan caught that fish. I was really happy for those guys. That was an awesome day of fishing.
You know what, Tommy? You always just over-deliver on the pictures. You had the most fish, you had the first fish, you had the biggest fish. You checked all the boxes tonight, bud. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone hot spots from the Northeast region. Tommy says inshore redfish on the topwater plugs on the early morning high outgoing tide. And then look for the schools of small finger mullet and toss the Berkley Jaywalker 100. And then offshore kingfish along the beaches and on the rips at the inlets on the outgoing tide.
Just full of compliments, aren't you, for the Tommy Derringer?
I'm just happy with all my team is just so well polished.
Happy. Well,
I mean,
you know.
Whether it's David the bench, you here standing next to me, it's awesome.
You're right, it is. If you plan on going deep in the Star-Charn Central West region, you also better plan on going far, but once you're out there, it'll be completely worth it. Ain't that right, Paige?
You know that's right. I just want to say I wish we had pokey pods. Everybody else has them except the Star-Charn Central West region. I don't think you got them down your way either, Rick.
No. Nope.
Anyway, yeah, 500 to 750 feet. That's where guys like to start. Captain Tim No, Captain Chris Seeger, both really good deep drop specialists in our region. And 500 to 750 feet, and you're going to be able to start with your yellow edge grouper, and as you move out, that snowy grouper, 650 to 900 feet of water. And the both captains are always concentrating on bait stacks on that live bottom scope. Some of the other species they get out there, Kitty Mitchell, groupers, and then always have an eye out for, because there's been a lot of blackfin tuna out there in those same fishing grounds and some mixed in wahoo. Venturing out a little further, swordfish bites been good from 1,400 to 1,800 feet of water for daytime, and just inside of that for nighttime. I have a really cool photo tonight of a snowy grouper that they caught on a deep drop with Captain Tim No of Gulf Coast Offshore Ventures. Staying offshore, the permit bite has been spectacular, and it's because we've had the split calm morning trip. Fish are on top, spinning. No need for a split shot to get your bait down. Just free line that crab behind the boat. If you're smart, you'll go out and dip some crabs the day before or even a couple days before and just keep them with a bubbler. And then it's going to pay off when you get out to the 3 to 11 mile. All the reefs, all the artificial reefs in the entire region have had good permit on them. If there isn't, move to another one. Got a really cool photo tonight from Captain Brett Norris of Rock Bottom Charters out of St. Pete with a father and son team. Some couple big permits they got with Captain Brett.
Nice. Very nice. Hugging the fish. All right. Inshore. What else we got?
Speckled trout. You guys know I love trout fishing. And this time of year, it can be a lot of fun. You want to get out in that deeper grass. We've had some really clean green water. Lots of bait on the flat. Pretty much anywhere you have deeper grass left. Ringling Museum, Rattlesnake Key, Emerson Point, down to the south on the outside of Bull and Turtle Bay, as well as Cape Hayes Point. Find the bait schools, set up a drift, and you can free line casting a soft plastic like a gulp shrimp or a fish spice on a jig head, or you can put it under a popping cork, or I heard Tommy talking about throwing the Jaywalker 100. That would be a great bait to match the hatch out there. You're still going to get other options of fish like ladyfish, Spanish mackerel, bluefish. I've got a trout photo tonight of a happy young angler with me a couple weeks ago with a really nice trout we got on the Pathfinder. And my last species tonight is the snook. Cool thing about this time of year snook fishing, Rick, in the Startron region is you can really do a lot of it by foot. And the beach is probably the best time of year to get out and walk the beach early, casting a fly parallel to the trough of the beach. And you can do it in the entire region. And if that doesn't suit your fancy, you can throw a soft plastic plug or soft plastic jig like a white Berkeley gulp shrimp or a slim tail and bring it down the trough. My last photo tonight is of a happy young angler from the Sarasota Fishing Camp, which just wrapped up its season, and that was with Captain Matt Davey.
All right, Captain Page, great report. I know it's way past your bedtime, but it's okay. You did great. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Daiquiri Deck hotspots from the Central West region. He says, inshore, snook in the early morning, sight fishing with fly or light tackle, soft plastics along the beaches through the entire region, and then offshore. Barracuda action on the near shore artificial reefs off of Lido north to Anna Maria. Use live pilchards or a half-ounce silver spoon is going to catch them.
I just love that almost every captain has had a kid with a fish in their report. It's amazing. I love seeing it. All right, we're headed north to the Sea Sucker Panhandle region for the conclusion of our reports when we come back, so sit tight and get ready to drop. We'll be right back.
All right.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Island Lures. Tournament Tackle. The IGFA. Every fish, every water, every angler since 1939. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Real Legends. Available at bellsflorida.com. Dynapack. Your partner on the road. And Taco Marine. Troll the edge.
The Power Pole anchor is an awesome tool while out on the water. Over the last 20 years, I would not have caught nearly as many fish without a power pole on the back of my boat. One of the biggest reasons a power pole helps you catch more fish is what happens as soon as you hook a fish. I always have my key fob in my hand while I'm fishing. That way, as soon as I hook up, I can double tap the down button and automatically deploy the anchors. This allows me time to fight the fish, land the fish, take a photo, and release the fish without drifting into the spot and ruin where that fish was holding. I have found that that fish was there for a reason. Whether it was structure, wind, current, or something, it was holding that fish in that general area. Most of the time, I can fire my next cast right into the same spot and catch more fish. Sometimes I like to change the lures, fan cast the area, and really work that spot where I caught the first fish. I then like to pick up the power poles just a bit and glide 20 to 30 feet forward, redeploy the power poles, and really work that area thoroughly. Doing this will increase your catches dramatically, and that's your power pole tip.
So what do you think?
I think that's a great tip. What do you think?
I think all you got to do is push the button.
What button?
This one right here.
Oh, that button.
Yeah.
I thought you meant, yep. Let's see
Just
it.
like that. Boom.
And that's how
Two
it's done?
taps,
That's
and
it?
That's it.
Oh my goodness.
Just follow me. I'll let you know where we're going.
Follow me, everything's all right. Okay, our Sea Sucker Panhandle region anglers regularly frequent the depths and definitely enjoy the spoils beneath. So let's check in with Captain Pat Deneen to hear what those might be. Talk to us, Pat.
Hey, Brie, those were good tips, definitely. Deep dropping has become very popular in the Sea Sucker Panhandle region the last few years. You know, maybe it's because the seasons for other bottom species are becoming more and more restrictive, or it could be because these deep drop species are so good to eat. But whatever the reason, most rigs, of deep drop rigs, are going to have 5 to 7 circle hooks, a heavy lead at the bottom, and a light source on the top. You want to use a firm bait that stays on the hook. You know, bonita chunks or salted minnows, tilefish, snowy grouper, yellowfin grouper, and variety snappers are the primary targets. You're going to find the tilefish on mucky bottom in 800 to maybe 1,000 feet of water or so. You know, just north of the spur and also east-northeast of the steps are great places to find them. Drifting area, making sure your lead stays on the bottom, you're going to find some tilefish. The groupers and the snappers are more structure-oriented, so fish hard bottom areas or maybe the cross-gulf pipeline in 600 to 700 feet of water is a really good spot to look for them. There's a photo there of Mike Gilmore. He's almost a child there, Brie, like you're asking, you know, the kids with the photos. Mike Gilmore has 4 on beach clowning around with the snow he pulled off the pipeline using bonita chunks for bait. So that's a pretty fun picture right there.
He's a big kid. We'll
staying offshore, there's been some really incredible white marlin and sailfishing lately in the vicinity of the nipple. The weather has been really calm, perfect for even the smaller boats that are set up for trolling. Some boats have been getting as many as 15 or 20 bites a day, while most boats are seeing a handful or so a day. Crews pulling dredges and teasers are being the most successful. They're fishing small ballyhoos on circle hooks and keeping a pitch bait ready in case a blue one shows up in the spread. You want to keep your eye on your bottom machine and look for midwater bait concentrations. Once you find those concentrations, fish those areas thoroughly. Hopefully this action will continue into September, which is pretty typical for this time of year. There's a photo sent in from Captain Hunter Forbes on the Raise 'em Up out of Sandestin with a whitey they caught fish in the nipple area just this past week or so.
That's so cool.
Moving inshore, there's plenty of coastal sharks along the Gulf front beaches throughout the Panhandle. They're mainly blacktip, sharp-nosed sharks, and spinners. Occasional larger shark like a bull, hammerhead, or tiger thrown in there. But you're going to find those sharks anywhere you find concentrations of ladyfish, bluefish, and bait. And, that's where you're going to find those sharks. Most are perfect for medium to heavy spinning rods baited with live or dead cigar minnows and herrings. Or better yet, a small ladyfish or a ladyfish strip. You can set fish, or my favorite way is to sight fish them. Use a couple of feet of wire, a circle hook mashed up to the bait you're using. For the bigger sharks, use heavier conventional tackle and a whole bonita or a bonita slapper bait. And you're going to find those sharks on pretty much all of the Gulf side beaches, but the quieter sections are definitely preferred. There's a photo when those sharks, especially those black tips and the sharp-nosed sharks are all fired up. You can get them on a lure. This one was caught on a fly rod just right off the beaches of Eglin. So that's pretty neat right there. And then finally, the mangrove snappers have been on the inshore anglers' radars lately. Mangroves are being caught in the bays and in Santa Rosa Sound around structures in 8 to 20 feet of water. You want to fish the residential docks, the bridge pilings, the rock piles, really any hard structure areas that have a little age on them. Small fin baits like pilchards, baby finfish, spot minnows, and menhaden. They seem to work the best. Live shrimp is a good bait, but they often get picked to death by pinfish before the mangroves can find them. You want to use a light leader, a small number 1 and number 2 circle hook. A little chum can go a long way to get those mangroves fired up. The bay mangroves are running up to about 12 inches. So that's it from the Panhandle.
So Pat, I got to ask you, is this typical for the white marlin this time of year, or is it a little bit early?
It's a little early, Rick. I mean, typically it's more like September into really late August, September, early October. But, it's been happening now for a couple of weeks now. It's been pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Good to hear. Probably a lot like the tarpon. We just having an early year because it was so warm in the winter. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots in the Panhandle region. Our beloved Patar says inshore 3 Mile Bridge in Pensacola at night is producing big black drum, redfish, and if you're lucky, a tarpon. Use shrimp, crabs, and finfish for those guys. And then offshore, lots of schoolie dolphin in state waters around the floating structure and the fads. Use light spinning tackle and cast single hook lures like jigs and spoons, or maybe even try some cut bait.
Well, we're wrapping up the deep dropping here in the studio, but it's just beginning for all of you. So grab your electric reels, or not, use them muscles and get out there. We'll be right back to tell you what we have on deck for next week, so make sure you stay hooked. We'll be right back.
What is it?
What is it? Your favorite. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun.
Oh, no.
Next week, we are talking all about the sharks. It is Shark Week here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
CPO shark.
We're all really excited about it. Sharks have been a large topic of discussion this season.
Yes,
it has
been,
so that'll be
for
fun.
sure.
Make sure you tune in.
I can't wait.
I like sharks.
I
can't wait. Can't wait.
We have a live audience for this?
We do have a live audience, so
about
make sure
that?
you visit our website and sign up. There's still time, and we'll see you next week in the studio. Thanks for tuning in.
Crystal River.
Missed you too, Greg. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.